What is up, YouTube? Here I'm presenting the third game of my training match with my friend, so let's jump into it. E4, D5, Scandinavian, I took it. He took with Queen, and Knight F3. So Knight F3 by me is just designed to not play right into my opponent's theory. There's nothing wrong with Knight C3 if that's what you want to play. I just don't particularly enjoy memorizing openings so much, so thought I'd play something different. He pins it right away, which is the main move. I break the pin. He develops the knight on c6, which is actually a good move. A lot of people here will play c6, which is kind of normal in normal mainline Scandinavians. But here, after d4, yeah, black makes a mistake. But really, black should castle queenside and just try to put a lot of pressure on this point right away. But after d6, queen d6, um, black is playing what I assume is, I know there's a queen d6 Scandinavian, so I assume this is a move in some Scandinavian lines after being hit by the knight. But the queen here, without the knight provoking it, is not really optimal. And here the computer, yeah, I made a mistake with knight c3. I'm really not sure what came over me. I had a feeling that c4 was not the correct move. Uh, and rather than taking my time to really assess the position, I just made a, quote, normal move, which is definitely not the way to play. And another reason why I wouldn't recommend blitz for improving players, at least not too much blitz, because you want to be able to think on every move for more than a few seconds. And if I'd done that, I might not have played this move. So, computer's recommendation is play d5, and this knight is a bit awkward. He doesn't want to go forward, he'll get kicked. This is a bad square. Going back is obviously not what black wants. And going forward, there's already some risks for black. For instance, say white castles, and if black just makes a normal development move, all of a sudden he's losing a piece after knight takes. Uh, Obviously, if he takes the knight back, white takes twice here, and that's losing. And if he interposes this, all of a sudden the knight's defended. So there are some tricks. And even if black doesn't screw this up, and say he just takes here and develops, white has a nice position. He's got more space, and yeah, mainly just more space. Black's a little cramped. If he takes again, he's stuck with this bad bishop here, and c5, c4, for instance, and yeah, white has a good position. So d5 by white would have been a good move. So what other good moves are there? Well, besides knight c3, which is not optimal, I could take advantage of this queen being in an awkward square and play knight to d2. Now I have threats to jump in here, and to kind of tell black, hey, moving your queen here was a mistake, and this pawn can't be taken because after knight takes, this bishop's hit twice. So if queen takes, I'm taking here, and if bishop takes, the old come on back, and white's again netted a piece. So knight c3 was a mistake by me. Black castles, um, which computer also does not like. What does it prefer? Now it's saying it liked castling. So, and yet the eval jumps way up. Huh. I don't know. I don't really see a big problem with castling. I mean, it's kind of black's idea to put pressure on here. I suppose because, again, d5 could be strong. Takes. Knight here. Yeah, white has a lot of space. So perhaps then e6 would have been better. Huh. Still, still the computer is not crazy about this. So then, if knight c3 is so bad, why all of a sudden isn't there a good move for black? Now the computer's saying to take, and oh, you can get away with taking a pawn. That's the problem. And white has compensation, but not enough. Alright, anyway, this is a long game with an interesting endgame, so I don't want to spend too much time on the opening. So black castles here, which now all of a sudden is fine for black. I develop a bishop, and black lashes out with h5. So I haven't committed my king yet, so I'm not really sure why he would do this instead of developing a piece. So now I do go forward with d5. He takes and attacks my bishop again. And here, maybe I should just castle, but I didn't want to give him an attack. And I wanted to put pressure on his queen side where his king is. So I came in with my queen. And yeah, c5 is kind of a typical mistake that I see David making a lot, which is why I tell him not to focus on opening so much. Just gonna wait for these loud-ass car people. Yeah, don't just give me a pawn. It's not necessary to take it, but I thought, hey, why not? It's given to me, I'll take it. And now, again, I'm not sure what e6 was about, because now I'm winning another pawn. And I'm going kind of quickly through these moves. We get to a simplified endgame where white is 2 pawns up. The problem is that these 2 pawns are doubled. You could say that these are the 2 extra pawns. Actually, excuse me, white is only 1 pawn up. Is that right? 3? Can I count? Where's my mind? Yeah, white's only a pawn up, and he has really bad pawn structure, but he has a better minor piece, and these the doubled pawns do create avenues for the rook to attack. So I wasn't super happy with the way I played, but I was happy enough. I thought, okay, well, another easy win against David. Just gotta mop up an endgame, but as you'll see, it was definitely not easy. So I started off fine enough with this move, and now I think I was getting pretty short of time here. So this rook move, I guess I thought that I was winning this pawn somehow. But seeing as he's going to play knight to here anyway, I'm not really sure why I did that. Much stronger would have been just to bring the bishop back, attacking the rook, making it go to awkward location, and yeah. Interesting. Now rook to g5. And what's the problem here? Is bishop f6. Okay, so just a little finesse I could have done, and obviously this position is much better than the one I got in the game. But instead of rook g5, knight to e7, and now bishop to d4. But obviously this is the wrong way to do it, because now instead of going to h7, black's rook gets a nice active post. And now I've pretty much lost 100% of my advantage according to the computer. And I kind of suspected as much in the game. I was really worried that I was screwing this up. But I overconfidently was like, well, he'll screw it up at some point and I'll win. I pins the knight, and David gives me a chance here by moving the rook. Better would have been to get rid of this guy straight away. Either have to take, and it's a pretty drawish looking rook endgame, or after, excuse me, not that move, but rook d6, he has to go back, and then all of a sudden it's actually a question whose minor piece is better. Maybe his is better. This is a very nice formation, and my rook is looking pretty stupid here. So, but instead, rook d7, and here the position's slowly winning for white, but not after my move, trading. And yeah, I was just not in good form this game, and it's just missing a lot of opportunities. So the winning move, actually, if you want to pause, there's 2 winning moves. Either rook to the e file, and there's an unpleasant pin here. If this rook is pinned, and this rook is kind of stuck as well, black can bring his king over to try to shore up defense here, but then this pressure just goes on for forever. Let me show a sample line. After rook e1, king goes over, and black just can do nothing. He's just totally stuck, screwing around. It's not necessary to lose this pawn, but really black has no moves. He can just push this pawn up the board until it's taken, push this pawn up the board until it's has no more moves. In this case, the computer says rook c7 for some reason, but then you're just winning this pawn, and then you go back, and basically black runs out of moves, and there's actually no reason, after you've won a pawn, now you can just liquidate everything and win the pawn endgame. So this is not a super common tactic, but it does occur, especially in endgames, and you have to be aware of it. You just, even with equal material, you just pin the guy down irrevocably to one piece, and then you can do whatever you want. You can improve your king, you can push your pawns, and eventually he'll have to push a pawn where it's captured, or once your king position is good enough, you can, and you're sure that you're winning the king and pawn endgame, you can just liquidate down. So that's what I should have done. Instead, I took the knight. He takes back. Yeah, no matter which rook I take back with, I'm losing a pawn. And now it's equal pawns. No, excuse me. Wow, what the heck am I talking about? I'm up 2 pawns. I'm up 2 pawns. How did this happen? Oh, sorry. I'm so used to analyzing my own games. I'm like, yeah, white is the one winning the pawn. And white is me. So I'm sorry for spacing out there. So despite being up 2 pawns, this position is not as good for white as it might seem. Black tries to trade a pair of rooks. I throw in a check to get his king kind of offsides, and then I come back. Honestly, I'm not quite sure what to do here. He comes in with his other rook, and I block. And now he's kind of out of useful moves. Although I was pretty nervous that it might be a draw if he keeps the rooks on. So I was quite happy to see him trade all the rooks. And I actually commented to him, I told him, yeah, that was a bad idea. But let's see how it goes from here. So this is the point in the video where it's really hard to give commentary because this is all about pure calculation. And in this endgame, neither of us, but mostly me, were particularly good at that. So he plays king c7. Not too much to comment about it. That I think almost any player would play king c7, including Magnus Carlsen or a computer. And now I play king d2. It just seems the more natural move, keeping as centralized as possible. But the computer is recommending f4, or also king e2, more than king d2. I wonder if king d2 actually... At this point, looking at these evals is not really the thing to do. It's either totally winning, totally drawn, or totally lost at this point when you reach the king and pawn endgame. Evidently, my move is still okay. I start coming over this way to try to eat this pawn, and I think I have, I'm not sure how much time I have left. I think only about a minute. We were playing with a 10-second increment, so it should have been enough, but... And here, I'm just, because of my low time, I'm just a little nervous to commit over here. And I don't want to spend a minute calculating all this and run out of time, so I keep the opposition. I go back once, and now a3, I figured a3 was a good waiting move, but it puts the game in draw territory, evidently. I just have to calculate and see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and it's going to take him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I saw that actually. I remember calculating, and that's the reason I didn't go this way. But what I should see is that by the time he does all this, I'll have my let's take a look. Actually, so we're both queening, and I saw this, and I'm getting hit with check, and I just didn't like this. But look, I have two pawns here, and I'm probably going to win this one too with my queen and king, and that should be. I can stop here. I thought, oh, this is unclear. It's not unclear. What happens? What happens now? Black can throw another check. This pawn's defended. This pawn's also defended. And I'm going to win this pawn, and this should be pretty easily winning with his king all the way over here. So that's what I should have done. Instead, I played a3. And for his part, he also made a mistake. He should start going after these pawns immediately. And now it's kind of similar to the other position. Actually, I should really go back and defend. I forgot what happens if I go this way. Oh, I'm actually losing. I'm not going to go over all these lines because it will take too long. But after his move, I'm winning again, but I don't play the correct move. It's amazing how difficult king and pawn endgames are, and really, like most chess players, I've put in very, very little time in this regard compared to openings, tactics. Spend literally probably 100 times much time studying tactics and other aspects of chess than studying the endgame, and it shows here. Again, f4. I guess one of the reasons that g5 was bad is it gives me a lever to trade pawns. And if he goes up this way, I'm going to be stopping this guy. And I don't even need the king anymore. These two pawns are strong enough on their own. So I should have seen that. f4, and I will see stuff like that in the future. Instead, I'm kind of obsessed with, well, I have to activate my king. I have to take the pawns with my king. And this is the problem when you have a bunch of theory but not really advanced knowledge, is that you just remember principles. But if chess was winnable just on principle, anybody who knew develop your pieces, control the center, activate your king in the endgame could be a grandmaster. But you have to know when to break up in the position with pawn moves, when to advance your king. And this is, I'm going to pause real quick. My landlord's parking in the lawn. So I got to run, but let me show you the rest of the game real quick. So all of a sudden, just to reiterate, in one move, it's a draw, and now this king move, I'm really not sure where my head was at, but now I'm losing, and David does not screw it up from here. And mate. So I got to give props to my student David. I played quite poorly, but I don't want to be a jerk and say, oh, I gave him the game. He really seized the initiative. He made a few mistakes, which I didn't capitalize on, and he didn't quite correctly calculate the king and pawn endgame. But nevertheless, after my timid moves, he just went right in there and queen his pawn. So very good work to David. He's now, actually, why am I doing that? Getting ahead of myself. He's a 1600 player now, but I see no reason why, if he doesn't work on his tactics and openings and endgames, just basically clean up his play a little bit, there's no reason why he can't be 1900 or 2000, and I look forward to seeing his progress. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and talk to you later.